what it really takes to get an online course off the ground in early stages of your business, or if you have a small following when you are just getting started. Guys, this is something that I'm so passionate about because obviously I have gone through the process of getting an online course started in early stages of my business, and it's completely not what they teach. So it's the things that are going to help you get it off the ground and not what people are teaching you, which are strategies for, your 5th, 6th, 7th launch, even later than that. All these kind of webinar strategies, funnel strategies, they might work if you have an existing large audience that's actively engaged and buys products from you, or if, down the track in your launches. But to begin with, especially if you have a small following or it's early stages of your business, I think you've just got to scrap those kinds of fancy launch strategies, get grassroots. So I'm speaking from my own experience here. I started my online course just over a year ago. If you include my beta version, I've run it a few times now. I have done all different types of launches, and I did at one point try to do a fancy webinar launch. It completely fell flat, and I now completely understand why there's no way it could have worked out with the stage of business I was in. So that's what I want to share with you guys today. I'm going to try to keep it pretty short, but these are all absolutely essential things that I have learned through my trial and error, through doing so many different courses and education about how to launch an online course, how to do the marketing, and then doing the actual trial and error and seeing what worked and really understanding why some of the things I did try didn't work and why they just wouldn't work in these early stages, as I've already said. So let's jump into it. Welcome back to my channel if you've already been here before. If you haven't, hi, I'm Alexis Harvey. I'm a money coach. I help creatives, coaches, and change makers to change their relationship with money, the way they think and feel about it, and the way that they actually manage it, so that they can create more freedom in their lives, they can pursue their purpose, and they can make more money doing what they love. So if that's what you're all about, make sure you hit subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you stick around, and I'm gonna get straight into this video. Okay, I just want to start off by saying that creating an online course is a lot of hard work. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So a lot of us are kind of sold on this idea that, if you're doing everything in flow, it should just be easy and effortless, and you're just working 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week, and that would be the most ideal way for you to create your business and your online course. So I don't equate hard work necessarily with bad work or burning out. Hard work just means it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy, and you can absolutely do that in flow, but it might take a lot of time and energy, aka hard work, to get this thing started, to create something from nothing, to get momentum going around something that, nothing was there to begin with. That creating that momentum, getting something going takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. So be prepared for that, and don't see that as a bad thing and you're failing because it's lots of hard work and everything should just happen instantly, really easily. So that's first things first. All right, so I've got 11 things that I'm going to go through with you of what it really takes to get an online course off the ground. So number 1 is patience. So like I was just saying, patience. It's not going to necessarily all happen straight away. In fact, that would be an anomaly. That would be more unusual. Firstly, it's going to take time to build your audience, to build trust, to build a relationship with them, to figure out the best way to sell, communicate your message, all of that kind of thing. Patience. Number 2, also like I mentioned, is energy. It's going to take energy. It's going to take hard work to firstly create something, and then to build momentum behind, selling it, getting other people on board with your vision, getting other people involved. So secondly, it's going to take a lot of energy. Thirdly, letting go of expectations, letting go of the outcome. So I think this is really important when you're starting anything actually, is to not sabotage yourself with really high expectations or potentially any expectations from the beginning. Because as you're going through the process and maybe things aren't panning out the way you expected, because let's remember, you're doing this for the first time or the second time or the third time, things aren't necessarily going to go as expected, then you can start to compare yourself to your expectation and become really derailed by that, especially if you're like, oh, this is not enough, I'm not doing well. You start to take that on as a reflection of you rather than maybe just the actions that you're taking and how can I pivot them. And it can really bring you down and cause contraction. So one of the most liberating things that I personally ever did was to let go of expectations and attachment to the outcome. And in doing that, that's how I've been able to get my best results. Number 4, connection with people who want this transformation. So you have to connect with the people. You can't just expect, and I think this is what happens a lot online, expecting that if you just put something up, people want to buy. If you have really a big name already and credibility, then yeah, that will probably happen. If you don't, then you've got to actually have these individual connections with people. People need to feel connected to you in order to buy from you. So I think just one of the most important things you can do is foster these connections. However you decide to go about it, foster these connections and the relationships that you have with your audience. Really personally get to know them. Number 5 is sales skills. This is so important, and what this really just comes down to is communication skills. Being able to communicate the value of your course, what people are getting from it, what the outcomes are of it, why you would take this course. These kinds of sales skills are you need them. You can't just expect someone to come, looking for you and being like, can you give me an online program? You have to be able to effectively communicate and sell the online program. No way around it, really important. Number 6 is trial and error. So you've just got to try everything. You're never going to set up this perfect system from the beginning for selling. So you just got to trial things. Try, does this work? What does my audience respond to? Maybe something you thought they'd really like, they're not really that interested in. It's all trial and error, how you market and sell the course. And then also obviously what you have inside the course, which is why you might do a beta version or you might have people test it for you. But trial and error in how you sell your course, there's going to be a lot of it. That's how every big course out there has gotten to where it is trialing and erroring. Trialing and erroring, I doubt that's really how you say it, but it's doing trial and error on how they do their funnel. Really important. And then that brings me to my next point, number 7, which is pivoting when you need to pivot. So if you had one strategy and it's just not working, you're getting crickets, you have to pivot. And this was something that I did in my second public launch of my course, so the second official public round. I had to pivot big time. I went full on for this one particular strategy, which was this really polished strategy, and it did not work. So I had to actually just throw that out the window and be like, right, what works? Let's get back to grassroots. What do people respond to? How do I connect with people? And you just got to pivot. That's business. The people that don't pivot and get just shut down and feel like, oh my God, it's not working, this is a failure, that's the people that fail. That's the people that quit. So you have to be able to pivot. Number 8 is perseverance. So I feel like I've touched on this already, but you have to be able to persevere. This process of getting your online course up and going is just collecting data. You're collecting data around what works, what doesn't work in your trial and error, you're pivoting, and you just have to persevere. If people aren't responding, get curious. Why aren't they responding? Did you build something that people even want? You need to get super curious and you need to persevere. Number 9 is knowing your numbers. So actually knowing your statistics. This is so important. This comes back to what I was mentioning about, if you don't have a very big audience, you cannot expect very big course sales. Like, it's just the way that it is. It does actually come down to numbers and conversion rates. So know your statistics. Maybe it's depending how you sell, could be like the size of your social media, could be the size of your list, could be how many people enrolled in your free lead magnet. If you're doing a lead magnet, how many people you had calls with if you're converting from calls. So knowing those statistics and then working out your conversion rate is going to give you so much power. So, you know, sometimes people can be like, oh, I only have 1 course sale or 2 course sales. And then when you look at the statistics of how many people even saw their sales page, maybe it was even a higher conversion rate, right? So when you know your statistics, you know if you're on track or not, and you know actually what's a reasonable outcome to expect. If you've only got 200 people or 500 people on your mailing list, you cannot expect 50 sales, or it would be just kind of a little bit ridiculous too. Average conversion rates on a sales page, or maybe even from a freebie, it's like 1%. So if you're getting less than 1%, then you can be like, okay, we need to make some tweaks here. You might be getting way over 1%, in which case you know that actually I'm doing pretty all right. Given the audience size that I have, my conversion rates are pretty fine, pretty great. You might be looking at your conversion rates from a webinar. If you only had 5 people sign up for your webinar, then even getting 1 person to actually buy your course is a really high conversion rate. So knowing these types of numbers is really important. It helps you actually be able to gauge, if everything that you're doing is actually really good, you're getting good conversion rates, even if the numbers are low. But that could be because your audience and your starting numbers are really low, and then it's just a matter of actually growing your audience and growing your relationship. So it's a matter of just taking time. I think this is so important, so key. Then number 10 is another one that is super important, and that is mindset and emotional management. Now, this is something for me personally that I have developed astronomically during my time launching my program, and has made just the world of difference. So as soon as you open cart, or you put yourself out there, you put an offer out there, this is when all your self-doubt and all your fears can be triggered if you haven't really addressed them, right? So this is where you might suddenly feel all this fear of rejection. You might contract, you might actually not even follow through on half of your promotion because you're feeling really sick, you're feeling like no one wants my thing, you're taking it really personally. There's just so much, all of your deep-seated stuff around putting yourself out there, failure, rejection, success, will absolutely come up during a launch. It's such a vulnerable time. So it's really important to understand that and to be able to manage your mindset and emotions really effectively during it. I know during my first launch, I think I did pretty all right up until the end of my early bird period. I had an early bird on my first time I launched. And then afterwards, I literally disappeared for the rest of the launch. I probably sent out 1 more email, did 1 more social media post. You can't really afford to do that during a launch. So you need to have really acute self-awareness, and then ways of managing these emotions and your mindset. And you will get better and better at it if you do that. The last time I launched was an amazing experience of feeling fantastic pretty much the whole time. I think it was only 2 days where I started to get the feeling that I get when I really go down, and I didn't go down at all, and it was amazing, and it made the biggest difference. I promoted during the whole time. It was effortless to promote, and that was because of my mindset and emotional management. If you don't get this piece, then you won't be bringing the energy, the buzz. You probably won't be following through on all of the promotions you're meant to be doing. So it's really just so important, so key. And then finally, number 11 is to work on your money stuff. I constantly notice this come up during my launches. If someone reached out to me and they're interested, I have usually a level of resistance to responding to them, or if they want to chat to me about it, to setting up a call. And I have to notice this and move through it because of the level of discomfort sometimes of receiving money, of having someone actually say yes. Might sound crazy, but when you're actually confronted with it, you probably know the feeling. I'm sure not everyone has it, but most of us do. This kind of oh, what if someone does say yes? There's stuff that we might have around actually receiving money. This has been really important for me to work on, and as I have been able to expand in my ability to receive for my work, I have made more and more money from my courses. Or from my course. the Wealth Worthy journey. So I think this is so important, working on your money stuff. If you're unconscious of it, or you're not working on it, and you just, you're just kind of pushing and forcing, or you're letting yourself go into contraction, then you're going to have less sales. You just are. You're going to make less money because you've not really been able to be open to receiving money for your gifts, for your course that you've created. So that is a really, really important one as well. So guys, that is what I think it takes to get an online course off the ground. I have been through it. I've done it myself. I've watched other people do it as well. I do not think these polished launch strategies work in the beginning. You can absolutely do them to keep setting yourself up for the next one and the next one and the next one, because they do that well. But in the beginning, you've got to get in there, you've got to get your hands dirty, you've got to connect with people, you've got to do trial and error, you've got to pivot, you've got to figure out what works for you, and you've got to be persistent and persevere. Know your numbers so you know whether to actually get worried or not about the number of sales that you're having. So important. And your mindset and emotional management, just like out of this world important. Working on your money stuff, that is going to affect your outcome and your result so much, because it affects your actions, the way that you show up, if you show up, all of that just completely determines what your actions are and how you do show up. So this is so important, guys. If you have any questions about this, please put them in the comments below. Super happy to answer them. Also, if you would like an hour to pick my brain, to hear everything that to go over your launch strategy, maybe your ideas for your course, you can book one of my one-to-one financial mapping sessions. I will put a link to that below if you're interested. And if you did like this video, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share it with anyone that you think this might be relevant to, anyone that you know is thinking of starting an online course. And yes, if you've got any other questions that you want to make me to make a video around more specifically, just one of these points, put that in the comments below as well. I'd really love to hear, and I'm really happy to share any more stuff that you guys would find helpful around this topic. So thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel if you're loving this content and you want to get more of it, and I'll see you in the next video.